ResortLoop.com is proudly sponsored by Joffrey's Coffee and Tea Company. Indulge in a taste from the South Pacific. Joffrey's new Disney Parks and Resorts blend, Alani, brings the islands to you. Blended with Hawaiian Kona beans and roasted to perfection, Alani is buttery smooth with a tropical sweet aftertaste. Available at Alani or Joffreys.com.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are currently holding for further traffic clearance. Once the monorail in front of us moves a safe distance away, we will resume our forward motion. Please remember to stay clear of all automatic doors. If you're standing, please continue to hold on to the silver handrails. Thank you.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Scott.
And his lovely wife, Dawn.
I am Bobless today. He is off on assignment. He's tracking numbers, selling shirts, all sorts of things. But we are here to talk about something that we think is very important. We're going to talk about what to do if you need to take your kids out of school. It's that time of year again where people are looking ahead to their fall schedules. Going, we think we could sneak in a trip. We're going to go to maybe Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, the Very Merry Christmas party, free dining's out.
We hope free dining will be out.
It's very limited, very limited.
Okay.
But, so we're going to talk about what are the plans. My wife is the educator in the family.
Yep.
She teaches third grade.
I do. That's the best grade.
Why is it the best grade?
It's the best grade because kids are still young enough that they love school, they love their teacher, they love learning, and they get excited about learning, and they get excited about little things, still love to get stickers on their paper, so they try hard, but they're old enough to be a little bit independent.
Are they clingy? Do they always want hugs?
Some of them are a little clingy.
Okay.
So I had a no hugging policy this year. And it wasn't because I didn't want to hug my children or give them that type of, affection that they need, but I had a little boy in my class this year that had some very serious health issues. And one of the things was he just could not afford to get sick. And so we just kind of made a hands-off policy, no hugging kind of things. That way we wouldn't transfer as many germs as we probably normally would have. It was a little bit hard. We high-fived a lot. We washed hands a lot, washed our desks a lot this year. And I'm happy to say this little guy had better attendance this school year thanks to his OCD germophobic teacher. I love kids and I know they need hugs and stuff, but I didn't miss it this year.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of nice not to... But although I will say I had 2 major colds and 1 stomach flu. And that's like more than I normally have.
Yeah, that's true.
Even with the huggy kids. That was weird.
Oh, you never know what's going to hit you.
I guess. It is what it is. But he was healthier this year, and that's all that matters. And the kids were so respectful. If they came to school and they're like, I'm sitting by him and I have a runny nose, they were really good about switching desks with someone who was healthier so that they wouldn't infect him.
That's so cool.
It was. I had the best class this year. They were just lovely kids. They really, truly were.
Oh, awesome.
So let's talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. So let's look ahead to fall.
Okay.
I'm a parent. I've decided sometime this fall, September, October, November, I want to take my child out of school. What should I do? What's the appropriate way to go about this?
Well, there's 2 schools of thought on that. Do and don't. Some teachers are like, sure, take them out of school, go on your vacation. There's nothing that I can do in the classroom that would replicate a family vacation or what the kids can learn on a vacation. And the other school of thought is don't. I don't want them out of my class because it's a lot more work when they get back. But let's just go, assuming that we're in the school of go on your vacation, have a great time. So there's several things that you need to do. First of all, you need to contact your school district and find out what their vacation policy is because districts vary. Even in the same state, same county, the school vacation policies vary widely. Our own children's school policy is they can take up to 10 days of vacation, but they have to do it all in one block of time. Whereas my own district is they can take up to 10 days of vacation, but they can scatter it throughout the year.
Oh, okay.
So that's very, very different.
Oh, yeah.
So you need to check and make sure what is my school's policy. The second thing that you have to consider, and it's not a pleasant topic to talk about, but it is what it is. It's state testing. And each school district has a window of when they have to test. I know that in 3rd grade, we test in the fall for English language arts. And then all the other tests, all the other grades, including 3rd grade, test again in the spring. So I know that we already know our testing window for next year, so I'm sure most districts know. So if your school's not out yet, contact your district and say, what's your vacation policy? When is the state testing? Because you don't want your child to miss that. It's just, it's a headache for everybody, administrators, teachers, and kids. Just don't. That is my biggest don't, is don't take them out during state testing. Love it, hate it. That's a whole nother program, I'm sure. And I'm not getting into that. Just don't.
Right.
So, and then the next thing is, when should you notify the teacher that you're taking this vacation?
Exactly.
Don't do it on Meet the Teacher night.
Oh, don't do it that soon.
Please don't. I'm trying to recognize your child, and honestly, I'm meeting 28 new little faces, and I'm really truly not going to remember who told me they're going on vacation. It might hit me in a couple weeks. I think someone's going on a vacation, but I won't have any idea who it is. So don't on Meet the Teacher night. Probably not during the first week of school either, unless your vacation's coming up very, very quickly. Maybe wait till the second week of school when the teacher's kind of calmed down a little bit, kind of knows, who's supposed to be in her class. And, you're not just counting to 28 every time you leave the classroom to make sure you have all the kids. You've kind of, okay, these are the little faces I recognize. But send them a heads up. Say, you know what, we are going to go on vacation in October. We'll be gone these dates. That just gives the teacher a little bit of heads up. And that can also, sometimes we have special things at our school that teachers will know that we won't announce to the kids, 10 weeks ahead of time. But we'll know it's a special activity that's coming up. And we can forewarn the parents, say, hey, look, we're having, our Celebrate Success for the end of the 9 weeks, and it's bounce houses and this and that, which compared to a Disney vacation isn't that big of a deal. But some parents don't want their kids to miss things like that. And if your travel plans are flexible, you can go another time.
Right.
Another thing to consider when you're planning your vacation is look at the school calendar. Most of them are out by now. Get on your school's website, look to see what their calendar is for next year, and see, is there a week where teachers have an in-service day? So maybe choose that week so your child only misses 4 days rather than 5 days of school.
Oh, that's a great tip.
So, you want your child to miss as little school as possible, yet still, have the experience of a family vacation. And I should probably preface this. We're talking about elementary, middle school kids only. During this show, I'm not even going there with the high school kids because that's probably a whole separate show that I don't have any authority to talk about. Because you get kids involved in high school activities. And, some kids are taking super hard classes that missing a week of school would really do them in.
Right.
So we're just not even going to talk about the high schoolers. That's going to have to be an individual decision with the parents.
Because it could be in musicals, sports, bands, a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay. So now you've kind of decided, I think I want to do this. Now you probably think, should I do this? You have to look at your child or children and decide, are they strong enough students that they can miss a little bit of school and still be okay? Is your child normally a healthy child and attends school on a regular basis? You're probably okay. If they're a strong student, attend regularly. If your child is, I had a little girl very prone to migraines, and she often would miss maybe 3, 4, 5 days of school a month. Ooh. I wouldn't advocate taking her out of school. She already misses so much. So, think about your own kids. Would they be okay to miss a week of school? So that's always important. So let's say you've checked with the school, you know the vacation policy, you're allowed to go on vacation. You've checked you're not going during a state testing window. Child's a strong student, has good attendance. Now we're going on vacation.
Excellent.
So when do you really notify the teacher that you're going on vacation?
When should they know? Because teacher's going to have to get some stuff ready probably.
If they choose, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
But my best policy is, and what our district asks parents to do, and I think is a great option, is however many days you're planning to take your child out of school, give your child's teacher and the school that many days notice. So if your child's going to miss 5 days of school, notify them 5 days before your 5 school days before your vacation that you will be gone. Most school districts are going to require that in a written note. Some districts have, ours doesn't, but I know our children's, they have an actual vacation form that you have to fill out. And send a note to the teacher saying, we're going to be gone. These are the specific dates we're going to be gone. My child's going to miss school these days, so the teacher is well aware. So, and then we get to the big topic.
Yes.
Homework versus no homework.
Yay or nay?
Yay or nay. I tend to leave it up to the parents. But I'm going to tell you that this is one topic that gets very kind of hot with a lot of teachers with vacations and things. So let's say you're the kind of parent who wants to go on vacation. You don't want to think about your child's homework. You just want to go. You want to have fun. And I say that's okay.
Okay.
Go ahead and do that. And honestly, as a teacher, that's a little bit easier for me because we have students that, are sick throughout the, week or whatever that you're gone. The two teachers that I team with, we have a nice little form that we fill out that says, what the goal was for that subject that day, what we did in class, if I did any workbook pages, if we, learned a new math game, whatever it was. I will write that down. And the reading teacher would do her part, and the science and social studies teacher would do her part. We also pass around an absent folder that any papers the child might need to complete the work goes in that absent folder.
Okay.
So it's pretty easy to do it that way. But then the negative of that is when you get home, your child will have a significant amount of makeup work to do.
Right.
But if you're okay with that, it's not a big deal. If your child's a strong student and, they can come home and, our school policy is for however many days you were absent, you have that many days to make it up.
Oh, there you go.
So if you're absent 5 days, you have 5 days to make it up. And, you do have to keep up. Your child has to keep up with their other work at that point in time. And,
right.
It might be a little difficult, especially in math. We've learned all these skills. And in math, oftentimes the concepts build on each other. So if we've spent a week in prep building and building and building, and now we're at that point toward the end of the unit, your child might be a little bit lost.
Would math generally be the toughest topic or toughest subject
I
to
definitely
deal with?
would think so.
Okay.
Math would be the hardest. So in reading, read this book, answer the questions, read these chapters, that kind of stuff. We're learning prefixes this week or, whatever. It's generally not as hard as math that, you go from one skill to the next, to the next, to the next.
Okay.
So, but, it's okay. As teachers, we're there to help. We'll help your child catch up. It might have to be during recess time, which kids don't generally like, but that's really the only free time I have.
And they just went to or they're just getting back from Disney World, so they should be okay.
They should be fine. And, parents, I hope, cut the teachers a little bit of slack of, the child not going out to recess so they can make up the work. And there's probably going to be a paper or a test or something that the child has to do that's for a grade that they couldn't do otherwise, that they have to stay in and make it up during recess. Kids who are sick stay in at recess and make up stuff. It's just a part of being absent.
Right.
So
just how it's done.
Exactly. But then there's the other school of thought where I want the homework. I want my child to do the homework on vacation, and I want my child to come back to school prepared.
That seems much tougher.
It's tougher on the teacher. I don't think it's as tough on the kid. If the child does the work and understands the work, I think it's okay. For a teacher, please make sure you do give us notice and so that we have time to prepare that. And generally, if you're going to be gone a week, not a problem. Most teachers do their lesson plans a week ahead of time. So we can write down what the child's going to miss, the workbook pages to do. If we're, the math series we use, we do a lot of our reinforcement in game form rather than on workbook pages, which is really nice. So I would send a copy of the directions on how to play the game or any materials that they would need to play the game, things like that.
Okay.
So that they're ready to go. And I know there are guidebooks out there that people have written in and said, with just about an hour of homework a night, my child came back prepared and ready to go. And, they're all totally caught up. Well, not quite. Because I'm going to tell you, there's going to be things that happen during that week that teachers can't anticipate. I planned a beautiful lesson on how to talk about unit fractions and what they were. I was maybe 5 or 6 minutes into my lesson. My kids they were on it. They knew it. I'm like, okay, well, this is a waste of a lesson here. If I keep going with this, something they already know. So I moved on to the next lesson. So if that happens while you're on vacation, your child still might come back a little bit behind.
Right.
But still, they've been on vacation. It's okay. We'll catch them up. It's not a problem. Or it might happen the reverse. When we started talking about equivalent fractions and the book had planned 2 days, lessons on equivalent fractions. And after the first day, my kids are looking at me like I had two heads. They had no clue what it was.
Right.
So I had to make up my own lesson for equivalent fractions. So now your child might come back a day ahead of time. That's okay too. Your child that would be probably the better case scenario. Your child sit in, have a little bit of a review, something maybe they already did. But if you do ask your child or children's teacher for homework, please do it. Nothing will irritate me more than a parent who insists on having homework so that they can go on their vacation and they want their child to come back all prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And they come back and the note says, sorry, having too much fun, just didn't get it done. Because I have spent a lot of time preparing that work for you ahead of time. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't, yeah, I have my lesson plans done and everything, but to rewrite them, because they're not going to understand the lesson plan format I use. They're not going to understand what Common Core Standard 3.2, numbers and operations is the way I do. So I have to write out that whole goal, what it is. So please, if you request homework from the teacher, get it done. It will irritate your child's teacher. I'm telling you, every teacher it happens to, that's the lunchroom conversation. So-and-so went on vacation and came back and nothing was done.
Right.
Yeah. You don't want to be the topic of the lunchroom.
No. The parent probably has to have a realistic expectation of when are you going to be able to do your homework on this vacation.
Absolutely.
Because if you're in the parks all day and you think, well, we'll do it for an hour before we go to bed. Mm-hmm. I don't see that happening.
No. No. That's difficult because your child's tired now.
Right.
But, maybe you're the type of family who takes a mid-afternoon break and, set your child at the table and chair and say, why don't you work on this? And also for me as a teacher, just my own opinion, I pare down what work I want the child to do to the bare bones, like just the absolute necessary learning they have to have or the necessary learning that we are going to learn that week.
Okay.
I'll send the games that we're going to do for practice, but I always put in parentheses optional, because that's just for extra practice. And we'll play the games multiple times. Your child will be fine with that. Mm-hmm. I never send spelling because we do spelling every single week. If your child normally does okay in spelling, one more spelling test isn't going to make or break your child's grade for that 9 weeks. So I do pare it down. Handwriting, I don't generally send because we're going to practice and review that anyway. So You'll be fine. So I don't send that kind of stuff. I just send the necessary things. But if your child or children's teachers make the effort because you've requested homework, don't come back to school with it undone. That's not good. If you think, well, I don't know if we'll have enough time or whatever, maybe come back from your vacation on Saturday. That way your child has a little bit of time to rest on Sunday, maybe get that homework done, or maybe the child comes home from work or school on Friday. Don't leave on your vacation maybe till Sunday and work on the work on Saturday. Because honestly, what I'm going to send wouldn't take more than 2.5 hours to do. And while that sounds like a lot, you're talking about a week.
Right.
And you average that out, that's a half an hour math when I generally teach math an hour and a half a day.
Right.
So it is bare bones, what I ask them to do.
Just enough to keep you up to speed until they get back.
Exactly. But on that same train of thought, don't ask for your homework 3 weeks ahead of your vacation. Don't say to the teacher, well, I want to have it all done before we even leave, so send it to me now. Especially in math, you can't do that because we're building on skills, or maybe you're in the middle of a novel study and reading. Well, you can't read chapters 18 through 22 when you're just now beginning the book, or maybe you're not even going to start the book until the next week. So be realistic with teachers if you request homework well in advance and the teacher says, I'm sorry, we just can't do that. There is a specific reason. We're just not trying to make your life more difficult. We truly, truly aren't, because we love it when our kids get to go on vacation and get to do special things and get to experience more than just their little world and their little city. We want them to be out there and do those amazing things and make those wonderful family memories.
Exactly.
So, and speaking of family memories.
Oh, yeah, you got to share that one.
Yeah, family memory. The little girl came back and I said, so what was your favorite part of the trip? And she goes, well, we're still laughing about it. Daddy really ripped one in the car and it was so bad we had to roll the windows down and it was hot out. So you might want to edit of what your child may or may not tell your teacher when they get back. She spent a week at Disney World and that was her favorite memory.
That's hilarious.
So, you just can't put a price tag, put a grade, put anything on those precious family memories, because that story is going to be told at that guy's funeral for sure.
Exactly.
Oh, for sure. He'll be 99 dead and they'll guess what happened when we were at Disney World. So that for sure is getting told. So it must have been a good one. I don't know if she's still talking about
That's hilarious.
But anyway, so that's homework. So let's say you choose to do the homework. before, after, during the vacation, have realistic expectations about the homework. If you even think for a minute, we're not the kind of family that really buckles down and gets it done, or we're the family that goes from rope drop to closing, we're just not going to have time. Just wait and let the teacher give it to you, because it's easier for me.
Right.
Because we're going to have kids that are sick or whatever, and you just make copies of the paper and pass them out when they get back. But if you ask for homework, please do it.
Right.
So, and then returning from vacation.
Oh, that was so short of a trip.
Yeah.
Already back.
It was too short. Do maybe email the teacher a couple pictures from your vacation, something special that your child has done. Because I always like to ask my kids when they get back, what did you do? What was your favorite part? And let the parent know that, which pictures you're sending. And, that's real easy for me on my computer. Then I can put the pictures up on the board and the whole class can see, and they can tell a little bit about their vacation, 5 or 6 minutes at the beginning of the day. I mean, by the time we get to third grade, we really don't have show and tell. But when it's something special like that, I certainly want the kids to share.
That'd be awesome.
A little bit of something.
Yeah.
So, do email a few pictures and let your child share, some fun things that they got to do, or something that they thought was funniest, scariest, most enjoyable, something. And maybe help maybe a shyer student, kind of maybe prep them a little bit about what they can tell the class, because I will ask, and I will try to, I've been to Disney obviously several times, and be able to prep, did you go on this ride, or, did you see this parade, or...
You've actually run into students down there.
Oh, yeah, we have. So back in the day, the first student we saw down there, we were getting ready. We were got to ride in the front of the monorail with the pilot.
Oh, that was old school.
And we traded, and we let him go, his family go, because they didn't know that you could do that. And we had done it several times. Yeah. Stephen was really little. We didn't even have Mackenzie then.
I know.
Yeah, we've run into a couple of my students down there.
Used to be able to ride in the front of the monorail. How about that?
I know.
Awesome.
I miss that.
It'd be cool if the kids could live stream something back to the rest of the
Oh, like Periscope.
Yes.
That would be really cool. I would have to show it on my phone. It would have to, and we're not really allowed to keep our phones out. It would have to be like a definite arranged thing.
Well, yeah.
So, but that would be fun.
That'd be very
really
cool,
fun.
though.
That would be so fun.
I think we need to work on that for the school system.
Yeah.
If you're going to go Periscope something back, or Facebook something back, who knows?
Yeah. Or we can FaceTime.
FaceTime.
Yeah. My little guy who, has the health problems, when the influenza season was really, really bad, the doctor pulled him out of school and put him on home instruction. And he dearly, dearly loved to play Sparkle, which is a spelling game. Okay. And so we would FaceTime him every week when we played Sparkle. The kids would just pass my phone around, and so he got to participate.
Oh, see, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun. And the kids missed him, and so they really loved having him. Yeah. And I loved being able to see him every day. And
oh, look at that. Technology won.
I know. It is, it's so much better. It's so much,
Yeah.
But, if it was arranged FaceTime, you could hold up, let them say hi to the kids, or show what they're...
Show where I'm at.
Yeah.
That'd be
very cool. I had 10 of my students between my 3 math classes go to Disney World this year. 10. And I think there's one going in this summer, like the end of June.
That is insane.
It's crazy. I've never had that many in my whole career. I've never had 10.
Was it spread out through the year? Was it just in the fall?
It was pretty well evenly spread out.
Okay.
So a couple over spring break. My most recent one, we went to the zoo as our field trip, and the mom said Grandma and Grandpa planned a surprise Disney trip for the girls, and they didn't know it.
Oh, wow.
And so she's like, she's going to be upset that she's missing the zoo trip. I'm like, she's going to Disney World.
Exactly. Oh, my gosh.
We got the zoo up the street. Take her later this summer.
I'll be at the Animal Kingdom. I think I'll be okay.
Although, you know what? Honestly, there is nothing like going on a school field trip. That's just so much fun. And I love it. And I love going with my kids, which my little guy that has health problems is also in a wheelchair. So it was fabulous because we got the handicap bus. So we got the whole bus to ourselves. There was no other class on with us. And the kids just thought that was so special that it was just us. Mm-hmm. And so I had to resurrect a few of the camp songs I learned when I was a camp counselor. Oh. Like going on a bear hunt. Oh my gosh. We probably did that one 4 times. That poor driver. I think he was like, okay, just calm your kids. And they weren't bad. They were sitting in their seats. We were just singing loudly.
Exactly.
But it was fun.
That's hilarious.
It's so much fun when you can get your kids away from school. And
as a kid, I remember like field trips seemed like they were always so far away. Mm-hmm. It was only like maybe, what was it, like a 45-minute bus trip for you, something like that?
Maybe, yeah. It was pretty quick.
It's like they're packing up for a safari.
Yeah. And you do. You have to take all the permission slips so that in case something would happen, you have know that the parent gave permission for your child to be with you. Mm-hmm. You have to take their emergency medical forms. Mm-hmm. I had two kids that have, severe allergies. So I had to take 2 EpiPens with me.
Oh, wow.
And then we had to bring a school nurse with us because my little guy with health problems. Then we have 2 other ones that are diabetic. So the school nurse had to be on the trip with us. We did pack for a safari.
Wow.
But I'm grateful that we have a school nurse that's willing to travel with us. And, we have a substitute nurse that comes in if she's ever ill or whatever. So she stayed back at the school and our real nurse got to go with us. And she's a blast. She's a great lady. So we had a really fun time. But yeah, it was great. We had a great time at the zoo. So
awesome.
Anyway. All right.
Any other tips? Or
back on track. So, just when you return from your vacation, let the child share a little bit, or hopefully the teacher will let the child share a little bit, send in a picture, let them bring their Mickey ears if it was their first time and they got Mickey ears, I think that's always kind of cool to hear what they thought was the best part of their vacation. And I did have one come back, the best part of their vacation, the pool.
There you go.
Not, Dumbo or, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. It was the pool.
They had a pool.
That's great. But have some realistic expectations about when you send your child back to school. Like I said before, I may jump ahead lessons if the children, understand that, or I may reteach a lesson a couple times. So your child might not come back exactly where I sent the homework, put the homework down. And there's probably maybe if your child missed a quiz or a paper that's for a grade that's in class or even a test, have some realistic expectations. I will try to work with the child before I would ever give them a paper for a grade or especially a test for a grade to make sure they understood what I had sent with them on vacation. But especially if it's the end of the 9 weeks, sometimes we have to really cram it in there, and they sometimes just have to take it, and maybe the grades are a little bit lower than what you're normally used to with your child. And I probably wouldn't climb on my kid too much about that. If they normally get A's and they get a couple B's that 9 weeks that you took a vacation, it probably isn't your child's fault.
They'll bounce back.
Yeah, they'll bounce back. It's fine. Because there are just little things that we do as teachers. We're constantly during a lesson assessing who gets it, who doesn't get it, who do I need to go get extra help, who do I need to, make sure they're paying attention, whatever it is that your child isn't going to get that, because you're not going to, as a parent, unless you're a teacher, you're not going to understand how to do that kind of stuff.
Right.
You might think your child, it looks good, send it back, and your child can get the answer. But a biggie anymore is, can your child explain how they got their answer and use that academic language? That's so important. But I don't want to scare parents away from taking their kids out of school.
No.
Go have fun. Your kid will bounce back. We do enough review. We do enough using those type words, vocabulary words, academic language. Your child will pick it up if your child is a relatively good student. So it'll be fine.
Great tips.
So go.
I think you need to go.
Have fun. Take me with you.
Exactly. Or just bring the teacher back a gift. Or,
that would be nice.
Or her husband.
No, that absolutely isn't necessary. No. Unless, if the teacher has really gone above and beyond in preparing homework for you and, that kind of stuff, it wouldn't hurt if you brought back something for the teacher. I did have one of my little guys that went on Disney vacation, had gone to one of the discount outlet type stores and brought back a pencil. I think it either said Orlando or Florida, one or the other, but it had some pictures of Mickey and whatever wrapped around.
That's cool.
But he brought back one for every kid in the class.
How nice was that?
Yeah. And then my little girl who went on a Disney cruise, I don't know if the parents or the family didn't like it or if she just didn't give them a chance to see it, but she collected all the chocolates that they lay on the pillows every night. And she brought back a chocolate for every kid in the class. But it was kind of neat because she was able to explain what it was. And so we ate and had a nice little chocolate fix before we started math that day.
That's
great.
Hilarious. The parents probably got back and go, we heard about chocolates on that pillow, but we never saw any of them.
I don't know.
I think it's just a
If she
rumor.
just hoarded them or if that wasn't their thing, they didn't care for them. I don't know. I think they're pretty tasty.
No, they're yummo.
Yeah, my kids wouldn't be able to bring that back to their class.
No.
Who knows? I don't know. But
Exactly.
Anyway. So
Excellent.
There you have it. Do check with your district. We'll recap.
Okay.
Do check with your district about their vacation policy. Do check when state testing occurs if you live in a state that has state testing. Do check with the teacher by the second or third week of school if you're planning a fall vacation. If there's anything special coming up or anything that the teacher can think of as to why that would not be a great time to go on vacation. Do decide what's best for your family. Should we take homework? Not take homework. If you do take homework, do it.
There you go.
And do have realistic expectations when you return. Your child might be a little tired, might have a few more papers and things to catch up with that, maybe we added a lesson or did something different that your child may need to do. Don't expect the homework packet to be an all-inclusive thing with nothing else to do once your child returns. Just, have your realistic expectations for that.
Yeah.
Go with the flow.
Be a flow goer.
We do. As teachers, we do. If your kid goes on vacation, we go with the flow. We plan what you want for us to plan. If homework, no homework, whatever. At some point in time, we have to do the homework, whether it's before or after.
Right.
So there you go.
Those are great tips.
I hope so. I hope it helps somebody.
If anybody out there has any questions, would you want to answer them?
Sure.
So if anybody has any questions, just send them to me, Tim at ResortLoop.com, and we'll either just send the answer back to you. Maybe we'll do another show.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
All right.
Excellent.
Sounds good.
Well, thanks for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me. I always have a good time.
It's always a lot of fun.
It is.
Everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Scott. You can find me on Twitter at ResortLoopTim, on Facebook, and you can also find me on the website, ResortLoop.com. Now, if Bob was here, he would also say, check out my Dizmatch. Book all your travel through our good friend Tyler over at People Mover Travel. And then he would also finish the show by saying,
see you, everybody.
With 4 theme parks, 25 resort hotels, hundreds of dining and shopping locations, and seemingly innumerable special events and ticket options, planning a trip to Walt Disney World can seem overwhelming. That's why the ResortLoop.com podcast has teamed up with People Mover Travel to help you get the most magic out of your Disney vacation. People Mover Travel will walk you through every aspect of your next Disney trip, from ensuring you get the best discounts to FastPass Plus and dining reservations and so many other things. Best of all, there is no fee for their service. That's right, you get your very own expert Disney vacation planner at no cost to you. For more information and to request a free, no-obligation quote, visit PeopleMoverTravel.com.